Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me. I am still Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com. It is still in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any of our platforms. Please reach out to me directly. I am Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for pricing details. Now that the year is said and done, I can safely say this was my favorite new watch of 2023. This is the Moser Cie Endeavour Perpetual Tantalum USA Limited Edition, a 10-piece lapis lazuli dialed, tantalum cased perpetual calendar from Moser Cie of Schaffhausen, Switzerland. So this USA Limited Edition is 42 millimeters in diameter, 13.7 millimeters thick, from lug tip to lug tip, 48.5 millimeters with a 20 millimeter spacing between the lugs. A few things to notice about the case. See how tightly downturned the lugs are, how they drape around the wrist, but then also notice that the case back is curved and cupped. So when I put the watch on my wrist of 16 centimeters circumference, it wears nicely. The lugs fall away at the edge of my wrist. You can see from over the top it still fits, and this angle always exaggerates the width of the watch. Because it has a concave bezel, it slides easily underneath the shirt cuff if necessary. And down the barrel, you can really see how much clearance I've got on each side. This is the truest angle. So this watch can be worn well on a wrist as small as 15 centimeters circumference. Moser uses its signature Kudu leather strap, or at least it's Kudu on the top. It has a wonderful sort of suede matte velvety feel and aesthetic, a little bit of stuffing or bolstering to give it volume, monotone black stitch. You can see a sheer cut edge showing the layers of leather, calfskin on the bottom, a brand new Moser factory strap, no crimping, no gouging. We have a pin buckle here in steel, and you can see that it features a combination of polish and satin for contrast. Now the watch has a steel buckle, a steel crown, and a steel case back. The bezel and the case, the largest assemblies, are made of tantalum. The idea here to create a very subtle two-tone effect. Now, Moser cases are first machined and then hand-finished. And when we're dealing with titanium or gold or platinum or steel, that involves a fair amount of work. You can't get these complex contours or polish and satin contrasts just by stamping or machining a case. So first, Moser machines and then they hand finished. But here's the thing, tantalum is a brutal material, like platinum, only worse. So Edouard Melon, CEO of Moser, told me that frankly they were going through one set of tools per case made. That's an awful lot. Not only do we have that fluid case back and lug profile, but look at the recesses and the polished concave scallops of the profile. Look at the vertical satination at the mid-case next to the crown and the pusher adjuster for the leap year, which hides on the case back. Look at the bezel, which is concave all the way around, but thins out at the mid-case, and then it yawns wider at 12 o'clock and 6 o'clock. A lot going on here. The perpetual calendar system may be the world's best. Developed by Andreas Streller for the original Moser Perpetual of 2005. Streller, I should mention, is an independent watchmaking master who's famous for making very complex mechanisms intuitive to use and deceptively simple. So here was his system here. You've got a date that moves in both directions. You've got a quickset mechanism. There is no date change danger zone, so you can change the calendar any time of day with no danger to the watch. And because sometimes we can set a watch more rapidly backwards than by moving forwards, it is a bidirectional system, so you can adjust it in either direction. Now, there are two discs for the date. To give you this big a date, there are two superimposed discs that prevent the watch from needing to be twice the size it is to accommodate these large date indications. And in order to indicate the month, we have an index that is coaxial with the hands. So 12 months, 12 hours, that's how this works. So you can see I am looking right now at September 1st, but I can also jump back to August 31st, forward and back, and I can set it very, very quickly. It's extremely robust. We have a lapis lazuli dial. This is a 10-piece limited edition, but because of the nature of a natural material, no two of these dials, even in the series of 10, will be exactly the same. We have a little bit of fluting or faceting on the leaf hands for better contrast against the dial base, alpha hands for the power reserve indicator as well as the seconds, and then we have little double indices at 12 and at 6. The power reserve is rated at 7 days chronometric chronometric for best timekeeping, though in fact it will run for almost 9 if you wind it fully and then let it go to exhaustion. Now the watch has a unique double pull crown. A lot of our Moser customers say, Tim, I can't hack the seconds and lock precisely when I want to stop the seconds hand. It always takes a couple of attempts to hack the watch. And that's because there's a dual pull system. You can't just pull the crown straight out and stop the movement. Moser has a stop that's built in. So I'll show you how this works. Moser has a stop that's built in, and it automatically stops you in the calendar setting position. So if you go to set the calendar, you don't accidentally budge the hands and change the time. Now the second pull will stop the seconds hand. It will hack the movement. It will allow you to synchronize to a time. So let's say I want to stop that hand precisely at 12. Well, what I'm going to do as the hand approaches 12 is I'm going to pull the crown to the first stop, and then when it hits the mark exactly, I'm going to pull the crown a second time to hack it. That's how Moser's double pull system works, to make sure you always get the quick set position when you want it and only advance to hacking when you absolutely desire to do so. You may wonder, why doesn't it say Swiss made? Because Moser watches are 90 to 95% Swiss made, and by statute, the standard for the industry as a whole is only 60%. So Moser, which has a much higher standard, chooses not to use the Swiss made logo, which can effectively be stamped on something that's 40% made in China. So that's why you don't see Swiss made, even though these are practically all Swiss and proudly made in Schaffhausen. Schaffhausen's the German-speaking part of Switzerland, and it's up in the northeast. Its neighbor is IWC, which makes about 100 to 120,000 watches a year. Moser's doing about 3 to 5,000, so you get this sense of a difference in orders of magnitude. Moser says its watches are very rare, and certainly compared to the industry as a whole, yes, they are. Now, on the reverse side, caliber HMC 800, we have two barrels with superimposed torque curves. You get a very even amount of torque to the escapement without requiring a constant force device. So as long as you keep the watch wound, it's going to give very good time. You can see the little push adjuster has a lever arm that acts on the quick set for the leap year. You don't need to see it too often, but if you want to read it, there's a little jumper spring here that has a golden arrow on it, and that indicates the current leap year cycle. Now, the watch features a hairspring, escapement, and balance, all made in-house by Moser at its precision engineering subsidiary. Moser is one of the few companies in the business that can actually make these parts as opposed to buying them. There are a lot of accomplished manufacturers that cannot make assortment parts, and a lot of companies, most notably MB&F, that's an open partnership, they use these elements from Moser in their watches. A lot of others do so, but don't admit to it. Now, there's much to love here. The 32 jewel movement beat sway at 18,000 vibrations per hour. All this is water resistant down to 30 meters. Look at the escapement. It's made of 14 karat gold. That's a mechanical grade of gold that's harder than 18 karat, so it can be used with extremely little lubrication to improve the performance of the watch in between services. Now, we've got a balance that is free sprung, and you can see it has two hairsprings, both flat, symmetrical, 180 degrees opposed. By making them identical and then phasing them apart 180 degrees, in any position, gravity will cause one hairspring to run faster and the other by an equal and opposite margin to run slower. So in any position, instantly, this double hairspring design performs the duty of a tourbillon, correcting for the effects of gravity in any position, in real time, in a wristwatch format, something no tourbillon can do. You can also see that being free-sprung, all the timing adjustments are done using hairspring manipulation and movements of the masses on the rims. This is a very precise and also shock-resistant solution, made even tougher by the use of a dual-anchored full balance bridge. And Moser here has thought of everything as the entire assortment, escapement, balance staff, it lifts out as a unit, and Moser has service centers around the world. So this is going to be done regionally. A new platform, fully serviced and regulated, can be inserted so that your watch will return to you faster. Also important, you could see that this series alone, now there is a tantalum case abyss blue dial that is quite attractive, but that enamel dial model is an unlimited production watch, not a 10-piece series, and that abyss blue enamel dial does not have a genuine brilliant cut diamond as the capstone to the balance staff. That diamond right there is the real thing, not synthetic. There are also stylistic traditions that are distinctive of Moser, including their double crested waves or Côte de Genève. We have a swan's neck style pocket watch inspired click. These two large bridges are designed to read like a single 3/4 bridge, a nod to the Moser of the 19th century and early 20th century, which was known for its mastery of pocket watches. We also have a pocket watch style set of golden chaton cups fixing the jewels, as back in the 19th century it was not possible to press jewels directly into bridges and plates. So what would happen is a precision golden chaton cup would be cut, the jewel would be pressed into that, and then the jewel and cup would be fixed into the bridges and plates using screws, and then they'd be removed for service and cleaning. So you could see both barrel arbors as well as the pivots of the train wheels. They were all set in golden chaton cups fixed by black polished screws. We have a mostly machined but handsome and neatly applied bevel on the bridges. We have satination on the crown wheel core, and we have a satination with beveling on the edge of the balance structure with media blast below that, satination on the wheels, and every screw head mirror finished. It is all quite attractive. My favorite watch of 2023. Break my heart, guys. Make this one yours. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.